I'm Cédric Pinson. I work on Sketchfab. Sketchfab, I show what Sketchfab. Mm. Sketchfab is a kind of 3D gallery for 3D artists to display their models, so they can upload 3D models and embed the viewer in an iframe on their website or stuff like that. We show more after. So we use for this project SceneGraph, OAJ.js. It's based on OpenSceneGraph. So why? Because I work with OpenSceneGraph from a long time ago, and when WebGL came on the web, I wanted to work the same way with the same kind of tools. So I started to write a minimal implementation of this SceneGraph, but in JavaScript. So basically, it's very simple. You can have some attribute on node, call a state set, and you can associate some kind of texture, material, and stuff like that. Okay, in Sketchfab, one of our problem is to generate shaders. Because we have a lot of different kind of model and kind of material, it's hard to have a specific shader that will work for all kind of material. Typically, the first approach was if you find, imagine you use a blind material. If you find a texture, you will add the texture to a string that will generate the shaders. But if you don't, you will use the base color as a bling material. The problem is with approach is when you have a lot of texture and different combination, it doesn't work and it doesn't scale very well. Because you start to just concatenate string to generate shaders, and you are not really able to make it scale and merge texture together and make some kind of operation, so it starts to be just a nightmare. So how we solve this? In fact, instead of trying to generate a shader with just concatenating string, we started to implement a kind of tree with some function node, and this tree will be after parsed, and when we will parse the tree, we will generate string, but because it's a tree, we can link each function node with variable. So typically, we have this kind of shader that comes from Blender materials. So with a lot of texture, we need to use this approach. How we parse the graph? In fact, we start from the frag color. In fact, the color you see is the final color. We iterate and we go deeper in the tree, and we start to enumerate variable. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. And we start to iterate and list variable. So it will generate the header of the shader, enumerate each variable if it's uniform or stuff like that. And after we will generate the string using the function node and link it with the variable that are listed in the function node. I will show after a real example because it's easier to watch it. So, in fact, the important stuff is that if you, because I tried to avoid to generate to use variable to link different function node. In fact, when you start to do that, it's does not work very well because you are not able to isolate each function, and you start to have some kind of recursive error or stuff like that. So you it's the the first pass is really to use a variable as link between function node. I just show an example of this kind of no, it's not this. Okay, typically we have this. Okay, typically we have this kind of shader. This one is simple, but the interesting thing is that you can add a lot of texture here, and in fact you can here to select which channel the texture will affect. So you can imagine to have 10 texture that will be multiplied or added or mixed or in the diffuse channel or in the normal channel. So you can really predict the material you will have. That's why you have to generate shader dynamically. Okay, an example of the texture node. It's a simple piece of JS. Maybe I can, yeah, it's better. In fact, we connect input and output that are the variable. And no. And when we will parse the tree, we will print. We will call the compute fragment, the global function declaration. So there is different type of traversing. The first is to declare the global function declaration. So you generate the top header of the fragment shader, and then after you will do another pass to compute the real code that the function node will generate. And because the input and output are variable, it's a kind of type. So it's not a string you take into it's not really the string. I mean, it's a type. It's a type of variable. So you can put anything inside, and your function node are isolated and can work with all type of variable. For example, if you have uniform or if you have a const or stuff like that. Okay, another example with the blend node. So the same thing, we get some input variable and a mode. So the mode are predefined because you can't really pass string to shaders. And then, depending on the mode, you will just generate a string, but you will use the content of the variable as a output name and not a predefined string. How it fits with the scene graph? In fact, when you do that, you can generate a lot of different shaders because you generate them dynamically. If you have only one element that is not the same, you will have two shaders that will be different. And if you don't cache shaders, you will generate a lot of shaders and you will spend a lot of time switching shaders in your program. So to avoid that, we use a hash. It means each texture node will have a kind of signature that will be a string but could be an int, and this signature will be used as a hash. So when we have, for example, this state set, we have 3 texture node and 1 material node. We will concatenate all signature with the texture unit taking a quote inside, and we will generate a hash. Then we will generate a shader that will be assigned to this hash. And when we see another state set that has the same configuration, we will use the same shader and we will not generate a new one. That's how it works. And the way shaders are generated is when you draw something. When you draw something, we check if there is a state set. We check the shader generation object. I'll explain a bit more with this. And when we have these two components, we put inside the shader generator all state set parameter, and he will cache and give an output shader. Why we use a shader generation object is because there is, for one type of shader generation, like for Blender, we have one type. We could have another type, like for a wavefront object. You can, in a state set, specify which kind of shader generator you want. Meaning that if you want to generate a shader with wavefront, you will write a different kind of grammar to generate the shader. It means that, I'll show an example just after, but it means that you don't have to have the same texture node. You can have a kind of wavefront node. It means that you can customize the behavior of the shader generation. For example, this Blender 1, it will filter all attributes that fit the shader generation grammar, meaning the Blender 1 work with texture node and material node. If tomorrow we want to introduce a new type of attribute but does not fit for this shader generator, then it will not be used by the shader generator. It's a kind of mixing different grammar shader generator in the same scene, meaning that if you have a reference object and a Blender object and another one, and you have different kind of shader generation for each type, because the standard is not the same, you describe the way you display them, then customizing the shader generation and assigning the good one to the state set will generate the good shader for the good object. And that's really convenient when you have a lot of different kind of objects you have to import, and you don't know really what will be the input. So, for example, we have this share in Blender, and without doing anything specific to have it in Sketchfab, we can display the same thing, and it's exactly the same. And you can have a look at the shader generated. So of course it's not very convenient to read, but you see exactly the same texture node. A texture node, it's well, some function node are function call and return just a value or modify a value. So the texture just return the pixel, but for example, if I take a good example, for example, the fellow of inf square will just modify a value. What I want? Okay. Let me see. Okay, 5 minutes. Yeah. If you have some question, let me see. Okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. We have time for questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a couple of questions. The first one is that the model format you import,
Yes.
is that the pure Blender format?
No. We import about 25 format.
Okay. But yeah, you talked about the.
It's an example because it's a more complex one. Because you don't really know, you can have shader material, shader node material, Blender material. You can have a lot of different type of material using Blender. Typically, if you use a wavefront, it's simpler.
But you also support Blender format.
Yeah.
Yes. The second one is that the thing you talked about with the render render passes. Do you support multiple render passes? I guess you do.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, are there any more questions?
It's a very neat system. What's it like debugging these shaders?
Well, you have to do some unit test, and the way to debug it, in fact, is to isolate by dichotomy where there's something wrong, and to debug it, I return some color F0F. So it's a way to see clearly that there is a problem with the conditional stuff in the shader. So the way, yeah, it's not so easy because you build a tree. You need to parse it and it will generate the shader. So it's not so easy. But I implemented a kind of pass value function that you can just pass a string with a value, and so it's easy to add a kind of fallback or an override behavior to be able to debug easily.
Okay, we have time for more questions.
What's the background? Is it a company you have, or?
Sketchfab?
Yeah.
Well, I'm okay. I do WebGL freelance, so I work in OpenGL from a long time, and Sketchfab, yes, is a company that's using the OGS framework.
Okay.
It's a young company.
Okay, one more question here.
Just a simple question. The model passing, is that happening on the client side or at a server?
No, in fact, we don't want to parse a 3D object in JavaScript. We completely convert every input format in our own format, the OGS format. So it's JSON based, but right now we are implementing the typed array for binary data because it's too big for big model.
Okay, thank you very much again.